We had a unexpected interaction. People did not think this was going to happen. Nobody thought it was going to be, but now it do. Nick Fuentes, who had been demonized even by Tucker Carlson, has now had Nick on his show. I don't know what to say, but let's listen to some of the clips.
The other thing I'm really worried about is what's happening at these ICE detention centers, where it's happening not far from where I live in Broadview, Illinois, where they set up an ICE detention facility, and Antifa showing up.
Yes.
In order to protect ICE, the administration's putting DHS. Well, now they're protesting the DHS presence. And,
That's right.
And the administration of the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago are telling Chicago police, don't help ICE.
Yep.
And they're encouraging the protesters. And what I see there is like a level of tension that just keeps increasing.
Yes.
And
Right.
there's leadership. There's civilian leadership on both sides. Like the governor and mayor, who are Democrats, won't back down versus a Republican president. There's a security division too, the police versus ICE, the police versus DHS.
You're right.
There's a constitutional question about the federal supremacy, you know.
Yeah.
And I see all the ingredients of like a low boil civil conflict, full-blown
insurrection.
civil war.
Yeah.
And I'm not that guy, but I see all the ingredients
I do
there
too.
for that to happen. So I'm deeply concerned about where that will go.
How would you handle it if you were in charge? If you're the president, what do you do about that?
I think maybe this is controversial, but they have to crush the other side.
100 fucking %. Absolutely.
They have to, because you can do one of two things. You cannot challenge the left.
That's
and
right.
let them do their thing.
And then they're going to just run you over, and eventually when they get power, they're going to crush you.
Or you can utterly confront them and defeat them. And
You destroy them completely. Put the mayors in jail, put the governors up on the Insurrection Act for sedition, put all of the people that were doing the shit in front of the detention centers, any of them that are violent, authorize the police officers to respond with violence to them, immediately, completely shut it down, bring in the military if you need to, bring in the National Guard, do whatever you need to do, look and find out who's funding this, take those people, charge them with incitement for terrorism. So basically the Republic is dead? No, the Republic is alive. An election was held, and the will of the people is being upheld.
remove hope from the equation. If you resist, you will be arrested.
That's
like
right.
we're just, this
exactly,
isn't
yes. Make it to where there is not even a possibility that you're going to get away with it.
insurrection. There's
Hold up.
from the equation. If you resist, you will be arrested. Like we're just, this is an insurrection.
That's right.
There's 10 million people here illegally. We're
Yep.
getting them out. You're rioting. You're going to jail too.
Done.
Like it has to be crushed.
Yep.
But if you do anything less
Exactly.
than that, if you do
Authoritarianism? It's not authoritarianism, it's called the law. I'm not trying to invent a new law. I'm saying we apply the existing laws to the people that are breaking them.
and if they
Also, by the way, them being able to push back and stop ICE is authoritarianism themselves.
that's when it breathes. That's when oxygen is fed to this kind of fire. So if I were Trump, I would say screw 200 National Guard.
Send
Like
in 1 million.
arrest the mayor of Chicago. Like make it clear. Like Washington, you know, bring in the troops and say the federal government is supreme. The immigration law is a law of the land.
That's right. We fought the Civil War. The Civil War was won. This has already been decided. There are no new rules, no new laws. We are just simply applying the rules, and people think that they have some sort of moral superiority, so they get to ignore them.
If you're not on board with that, you're going to jail. If you attack ICE or box them in with your car, you're going to jail for
right.
a long time.
That's right.
Anything less than that, you might as well just not even bark up that tree at all.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. Because whenever all they do is they get arrested and detained for 24 hours, they wear that like a badge of honor. 15 years in prison, not so much. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but what you're saying sounds like authoritarianism. Let me go ahead and ask you a question. What about what I'm saying is authoritarian? Name one aspect of this that is authoritarian? You're saying to destroy the other side. I don't like the extremism of it. Do you think that the government should destroy the idea of being violent towards federal officers? Because like the other side is people that are being violent, aggressive, and abusive and trying to hurt officers. They're actively trying to hurt people that are following the law, doing their job. Because this other, like you're saying the other side, it's not really about left or right. These are people who are actively breaking the law, being violent, aggressive, and intimidating other people who defy them. Can you tell me what the mayors and governors are breaking that warrants an arrest? They're actively working against the federal government, and I think it's sedition, and they should do the Insurrection Act on them. And if that's not it, I think take out all of their federal funding. Absolutely not. I'm USGC. I just want to get us along, man. I hate all this. How do you get along with a person who wants to violently attack you for following the law? We did get along. We had an election. An election took place. The election had this result. This was a core principal position of the election. It's not like this is some kind of like, oh, Trump's just pulling a fast one and it came out of nowhere. This was a core principle that Trump ran on. And also, the majority of Americans agree with deporting all illegal aliens from the country. So we're all getting along. I don't think that the responsibility there is on the majority to just simply, capitulate to these minority people who are actively breaking the law, being violent, hurting people, destroying property, and attacking officers. If you don't like the law, then change the law. There's a process for that. I don't want full side to be in control. I want conversation and compromise. This is the compromise. How is it not a compromise? Like they're removing all of the illegal aliens. Why should you compromise? Like, let's say somebody murders a person. Why do you need to compromise with that? Why are you compromising with bad behavior? Yeah, Trump tried an insurrection and pardoned the people who did it for him. You still support him, then stop pretending to care about the law. The agenda is so clear. Yeah, it was stupid that he did that. Absolutely. January 6th was stupid. But the fact is that the people that did that would have already been out of jail if they had served their time and been given due process. If you go in and you're trespassing inside of a building or it's assault on an officer, it's about 4 to 5 years in jail, right? It is. You just look it up. The fact is that they would have been out of jail already. A lot of those people were political prisoners. Some of them should have spent 20 more years in jail. I agree with you. I don't think Trump should have blanket pardoned everybody either. But the reality is that these people are actively trying to subvert the government. And I don't agree with January 6th either. It's not like this is an either or.
So what are the other factors that prevent, I'm sorry I called you gay, by the way, but I think I'm just too old or something. I'm like, why isn't anyone married? You tell me, why aren't people married?
Well, I mean, honestly, it's the women.
Man.
The women are extremely liberal. No one talks about that. They're increasingly they do.
It is true that women, like how many of you guys have had to nerf your political views in order to be around a girl that you like that was more liberal? Yes? Okay, everybody's saying yes. All right, well, there you go.
Especially after the last election, there's a 45-point difference between men and women.
Yeah.
The men are extremely conservative, increasingly. The women are extremely liberal.
Exactly.
What are they liberal on? What issue?
Exactly. Like you see this with the Free Palestine stuff. Like it's just a bunch of screeching banshees. You even see it from the arrests. Like 70-80% of the people that are in these protests are women. It's true.
Issues. Like, what does that mean, liberal?
Oh, they're very feminist.
Like, actually?
Extremely feminist, yes.
They don't believe that, do they?
I think they do.
Really?
Absolutely,
How could
yes.
you believe that?
I think
gender roles are a construct, that none of this is inborn? Like, you'd have to be an idiot to think that.
Well, that's the...
like the idea of it. They like because of course I think all women naturally want strong men.
Of course, obviously.
They naturally want a Chad. You know, they want like a tall, buff guy.
I would say this is generally true. Obviously, like there are exceptions, but I think that, you know, the way that things have been going for thousands of years is probably the way that things generally are. Yeah.
But I think they like the idea of none of them want to work either. None of them
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Of course. That's right. It's obviously true. It's always been true. Work outside the home.
Right.
They don't have enough work at home. You know, there's a lot to do. But no, I completely agree. So that's why I question, like, they're feminists in what sense?
Yes. And, you know, they like these vague appeals to equality. We want a chance to work and we want respect.
I think that the problem is that a lot of women nowadays want to preserve their privileges while also gaining equality in spaces that basically give them unfair advantages, right? So like they want to have, preferential treatment through scholarships or preferential hiring processes through DEI, but they also want to preserve privileges, social privileges, like having the man pay for dinner or the expectation that a man will provide for them. Now, my opinion on this is that the way that we've been doing it for like hundreds, if not thousands of years, that's the right way of doing it. I think that if a woman wants to get a job and she wants to work for herself, that's a decision that she and her husband have to make. But I, as a guy, I would expect to provide for and take care of my wife, and I would expect her to, provide for and take care of the house if we had kids, right? I think that is the success way to have a marriage. Now, I think that the problem is when you have people that don't have those same value sets. You have a guy that has a more traditional value set like I do, marry a girl that wants to have a career. Well, as a guy, you're an idiot for doing that. It's like, again, it's like what I always say, don't buy a bird if you don't want it to make noises. Like you should, these are things that should be discussed before you even get engaged. So if you have this massive difference in values, this should already be like completely ironed out before you even get engaged, not to mention get married, not to mention have kids, right? So the problem, I think, really comes from there is a dual culture that exists. There is the traditional culture that exists that, a man is the provider and a man is the person who has a job and a woman is the person who takes care of the home, takes care of the kids, etc. And some people think that's good. Some people think it's toxic. I think the only thing that's truly toxic is making somebody uphold one value, right? And then you have other people that think that it should be true equality. Both people should work and they should take their own share of these responsibilities. I think that both of these, again, can work. And I think that there are millions of cases of them working with multiple times, right? And so like millions of times they've worked in both routes. But the problem and that the issue is not either one of these. It's trying to tell other people that they have to be one of these. I think that really finding people that are like-minded with you, because if you have to bend and try to like compromise with somebody on this is a problem that will probably manifest in 5 years. Right? It won't manifest immediately, but it will manifest over time because you're fundamentally suppressing what somebody wants to do. So, yeah.
And, ultimately, I think the whole political system is just based around women never being accountable for any of their choices. Ultimately, that seems to be that's what abortion is.
Yeah, of course.
Because 99% of abortions are elective. So they say it's an unplanned pregnancy. Yeah. You had sex out of wedlock with someone you didn't intend to have kids with. So now we have to kill the kids in the womb.
Yeah.
And, these no-fault divorce laws. These women get married to guys maybe they never intend to stay with. And then when they're out, they're done. And they want child support and they want half the stuff. And I think
I actually disagree with Nick on this. I actually am a fan of the child support and everything. And because it's best for the kid. Like, I don't really care. Like, if you have a kid, I think that a society that doesn't put its young people and its children first is going to become a dead-end society. And so, like, as much as I do agree with this, no, I do. I do. I think that really if you're a guy, because also men bear this responsibility also. The big problem with this, and I think here's where the issue lies, it's that men and women don't have equality in custody. I think if equality in custody was equal, everything else would make sense. So, like, for example, it makes sense that the parent that's not taking care of the kid should have to contribute to the well-being of the kid. This is 100% true, and it's what's best for the kid. So, like, if you have a kid with somebody else, and this kid's like 8 years old, you can't get along with each other anymore, and you've got to have this issue, I don't want to put that kid in a position where he's living in poverty because these two parents are retarded. And so you try to create a system where there's accountability for that. But the problem and where it breaks down is in custody. Because whenever women get custody, probably, 90% of the time, something like that, and men are always the ones that are paying child support, well, then there's a huge distortion there. It's very clearly not the issue. So look at father custody stats. They obliterate mom stats. Well, I don't know about like which stats on what for what thing, right? But my point is that I think that child support as an idea is a good idea because it is beneficial for the child fundamentally. And I think putting the child's needs first beyond the needs of the parent is what makes more sense. And I think it's what creates a better society in the long run. But you can't have that whenever you have rigged court systems.
A lot of men are looking at women and they're very liberal. They're overweight. They have a very high estimation of themselves. I think that people call it hoflation.
Hoflation?
Yes.
He doesn't know what it means?
Their sense of their own looks and sexual value is very inflated. And so a lot of people are looking at these like frumpy, obnoxious, loudmouth, liberal women who are also very promiscuous and saying this is not actually appealing at all. And I don't.
This is the reason why I think a lot of guys end up dating girls that are like in other countries too. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Disagree on child support, man, and encourages women to want a divorce. You didn't listen to the custody. Like you're an NPC. You're literally an NPC. You didn't even listen to the custody conversation. I probably should just ban that guy, Passport Bros. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, like if you can't get a girlfriend here because they're all obnoxious, weird, and fat, then yeah, you're gonna probably try to go look somewhere else. Like, duh. Of course.
I don't want to start a family with.
I can't really talk a lot of shit. Okay. Like the last one was, from Canada and then previously China. And then the one before that was from Sweden. Okay, so like I really don't have a lot of room to talk here.
Sounds awful.
This. Yeah, it is.
But if you believe in the patriarchy, as I fervently do, because it's just reality.
Yeah, of course.
We didn't choose the system. We were born into a system that is part of nature. Can't get out of it.
You're right.
So if you believe that that's true, which it is, then you think that men should lead. And if it's going to be better, men should make it better because that's their job.
Right.
So you don't want to give them a pass, do you? It'd be like, it's all the girls suck. So
I don't even blame it on the women because I think that it's the incentive.
I think that there are a lot of guys that are fucking losers. I think that there's a lot of guys that are absolute fucking losers. They blame everything on women. They have no interests. They have no skills. They have developed no personality other than being good at one video game. They're not personable. They're selfish. They're obnoxious. They're emotionally abusive. Some of them are physically abusive. There are a lot of loser guys out there. Like, honestly, if you guys have any friends that are girls, right? Or like maybe a sister or something like that, you probably, if for every one friend that you have or sister you have, you probably have 3 stories of loser guys, right? Like, it's a huge problem. Now, I'm not saying that hoes aren't a problem too, but I think this is a both sides type situation. But the problem is that socially, toxic feminine behavior is accepted, and socially, toxic male behavior is shunned. That's the problem.
Of structures. Women are allowed to do this by the legal system, by
loser epidemic, yes.
Kind of social norms. Technology is a big part of it. The attention that is available to women.
That's right.
Women go on Instagram and they get attention from thousands of men.
Yes.
So it's the incentives. But I would say that, because I hear this all the time, people say, well, the men need to step up and be better and lead the women. Yeah. Easier said than done.
I agree.
They just don't want to listen, bro. Sometimes they just will not fucking listen. You can explain this shit to them that nope, they will not listen.
Of course I agree with that.
They're at war with the system, and not even just the system, but also society. Because let's say you find one of these so-called good girls who's Christian and traditional, but through osmosis, wherever you go, she's going to be in society. She's going to be on TikTok.
So you can't let her out of the house.
She's going to be on Instagram.
Yeah.
She's going to be talking to other women. And maybe she's one way when you meet and get married, but 10 years down the road, 15 years, 20 years down the road.
That's my dad said that happened with my mom. He said that whenever they started dating, she wasn't crazy, and then she went crazy over time. But in retrospect, I think that, honestly, I think it's kind of true, but like, I think they both were crazy. Do I think they both were crazy? Really? I mean, it really was like, but it was like two different kinds of crazy.
People change.
Yeah.
And I think that women, as kind of the ultimate conformists, the ultimate enforcers of like social norms, I think of
My dad said that my mom used to cook him fried chicken and fix her own car, change her own oil and everything. And then after she got married to my dad, she stopped doing everything and she just expected my dad to do everything. And it made him really mad. He's like, I got bait and switched. It's not fair. She didn't want to do a fucking thing.
eventually the pressure from society kind of gets to them.
I think there's definitely have you guys ever had like like a girlfriend or somebody or a girl you're talking to like get influenced by some sort of like fucking social media thing, and then it like changes the way that she looks at stuff, or like she has some or she'll like ask you a question, like sometimes whenever it's like, Zach, so if I died, which one of my friends would you want to date? Any of my friends if I died? And it's like, if you could put my personality in another woman's body, who would it be? I'm like, oh shit, bro, are you kidding me? Like, never ask that. I always, my policy, I'm single, by the way. My policy is that I always answer it with the thing that they want to hear the least. I'm like, oh, your hottest friend, for sure. Yeah, definitely the hottest one. Yeah, the one, which one are you the most jealous of? Jessica? Yeah, Jessica, for sure. Uh-huh. Because that way you make them feel stupid. I don't have a girlfriend. Anyway, let's go to the next one. And so we even got, bro, so all the comments on this are wild. I don't even know if I can read these. I'm not even sure if I read these, bro. But they really going in on this. They love it. And wow, it's a good interview. I liked it a lot. Yeah, a lot of people were very positive. And let me go back. I'll see this one here. And there's another one. And
I thought you were a Fed. I
thought you were a Fed.
I was a Fed.
Yeah.
I'm not a Fed. But whatever, I don't care what people think.
We showed each other our badges. We know well.
No, but I thought you were a Fed because I was like, why not? It's not cucking to say you're not talking about all Jews when you oppose a foreign policy position. It's not. There's nothing liberal about that. It's just true. That's the Christian position. Okay. And two, why are you attacking like the best people and not the worst people?
Well, yeah. I mean, again, he disavowed me for my views on Israel and said I talk too much about white people and Christianity. And to me, that's like a sincere ideological disagreement. I get it. And, same thing with Marjorie. Marjorie fired my guy. She disavowed me. And, and you worked with Blumenthal on that article, but you called me on the phone and we talked. Yeah,
I mean, I was like, what? From my perspective, I mean, this is all so stupid and inside baseball and whatever, but for the record, I was like, first of all, who is this kid? I'm working at Fox News. I'm aware there's an internet, but I'm more out of it than you may appreciate.
Yeah, and I can see that.
Out of nowhere, attacking this one. I had Joe Kent here to my house. I did this interview with him, and I'm always in search of a sincere politician. Don't have to agree on everything, but I really believe sincerity is the whole game. If someone's heart is pure, he will be brave. I always have thought that.
Yeah.
And it's turned out to be true. Marjorie's a perfect example. And
she's crazy,
that's all that matters. If you're afraid inside, if you're weak inside, you will crumble when it matters. So.
Remember what we were watching earlier? You remember all the Twitch drama? And there it is.
So I really felt like, wow, Joe, don't agree with him on everything, of course, but I was like, this guy is really sincere. He's like a good person. And then you show up and you're like, he's a CIA officer, and he was a CIA contractor, but like really like crush the guy. And it's like, why, of all people, you you agree on 90% of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was my view. And I was like, well, clearly.
Right. But you didn't know the whole story.
I didn't. Oh, you're absolutely right.
And look, and now that, and I want to be, I'm not trying to be combative. I think that.
Go ahead. I'm not, you're not hurting my feelings. I mean,
no, I mean, here's what I'm trying to say is now that Marjorie is pushing in the right direction, I absolutely support everything she's saying. And I've not been critical of her at all this year.
Yeah.
Because I think that what she's doing is extremely courageous. And I think you're right. She is sincere.
So it sounds like you're, not to put words in your mouth, but your life experience has left you so stung by the Republican establishment. You don't trust anybody, it sounds like.
Well, no, I mean, these people attacked me when the rules were different, and now they got better, and now I'm good with them. I mean, I'm willing to be good with them.
You can't trust them, though. You can never trust. People that do that will roach out on you whenever it's inconvenient are going to do it again, because things always change. Things will change again, and when they do, you're going to have to consolidate people that will be on your side. Now, you always have to work with people, but you got to keep those people at an arm's length. You always have to keep those people at an arm's length. You can't trust anybody? Yeah.
But I think that I don't know if Marjorie still has a problem with me or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there it is. And pull the listening advice. A different. No, I'm just saying, like, let me see here if I can find it. And the Ben Shapiro. Oh, here we go. Uh-oh. Oh boy, here we go. Now we're getting into the well, you know.
I tweeted to Ben Shapiro. I said, I've never seen anything on the Daily Wire that's actually critical of Israel. And he quote tweets me. And at this time, I have 1,000 followers on Twitter.
How old are you?
I'm 18. I'm a freshman.
Still a freshman in college. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is even before I started my show.
He didn't like that.
And I don't know, I probably got 100 likes on this tweet. It wasn't a viral tweet.
Big one.
He quote tweets me and says, "To accuse a Jew of dual loyalty is the surest sign of anti-Semitism." And like, this is how it sort of begins. And I see this tweet. And by the way, that was on Christmas Eve in 2016.
He immediately called you an anti-Semite.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
So I'm driving to Christmas Eve Mass with my family. And I see on Twitter, the notification comes up. Ben Shapiro quote tweets me, calling me an anti-Semite.
Uh-oh. Oh.
And I was like, what is this? Like, why is this guy attacking me? Because I don't have a platform at this time. I'm not an influential guy or anything.
Sure.
And so then I put out another tweet similar. I said something like, if you're China first, you should live in China. If you're Mexico first, you should live in Mexico. If you're Israel first, maybe you should go live in Israel.
True. Abso-fucking-lutely.
And again,
it's got nothing to do with Jews.
He quote tweets me and says, "You're an anti-Semite."
That same night?
That's the kind of stuff that makes people. That's the reason why I think that there's so much legitimate bad anti-Semitism, is because legitimate criticisms of Israel like this, or people having dual interests or working in the best interest of Israel rather than America, that's what's caused so many of those people to become radicalized. That's exactly it.
I think a couple weeks later.
It's because you keep calling people that word, and that has nothing to do with it. It's a boy,
a little bit further down the line. And so,
were you surprised that he knew you were?
Yeah, I was. I was surprised at why he cared.
Yeah,
because I'm thinking, how does he even know who I am or what I'm about?
Yeah, probably just saw it.
And it turned out that Cassie Dillon, she had texted him earlier and she wanted him to take me under his wing. She texted him after that debate and said, you really like this guy. He's amazing. He did this great debate. She goes, but he's a little too pro-Trump. He's a little too Trumpy. And he goes, I'll take a look. And so I guess the two of them were kind of like grooming me in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted me to go maybe and be a Daily Wire, or maybe looking me as a potential conservative activist or influencer. And so they started paying attention to me, and the more critical of Israel I was, I started to get this really intense pushback from the both of them and from a lot of the people at Daily Wire.
Why do you think, so you're an 18-year-old college freshman, you're clearly talented and you're engaged, you're really interested, and you ask not crazy questions, like what is this?
Well, they are crazy questions. In a crazy world, a normal question is crazy. That's the problem. Is that you live in such a radicalized, distorted reality that even something that's rational, natural, and normal to ask becomes insane.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than explain it, they just call you a racist, call you an anti-Semite. Like, that's the first...
Well, that's the way that they do it, is they just shut down conversation. It's the same as left-wing people do. I mean, right-wing people do it too also. But I feel like, systematically, I feel like left-wing people have kind of had the advantage on this for a while.
Response. That seems like the least effective... Well, it turned out to be not very effective in your case. But that seems like the least effective thing you could do. Why do you think they did that?
Just in the opposite way.
Well, I think that you have to look at it not in retrospect, because hindsight is 20/20. And so looking back, you could say they made a terrible mistake because look at sort of what they provoked or what they catalyzed. But at that time, you got to consider, I'm 18 with no following, with no network. I'm coming from the suburbs of Chicago. My parents didn't go to college. I have no connections. And so for them, it was very easy that if they detected that a promising young guy was going to become anti-Israel in the conservative movement,
just stomp them out immediately.
They could crush that person
easily
and grind them under the heel.
Yep.
So they sort of were alerted, oh, there's a precocious young guy that isn't on board with Israel. We'll keep an eye on him. And if he gets too vocal or popular, we'll cut him down. We'll crush him. Because
this happens everywhere. It's very obvious. People wanting... It's the same thing I said before about Twitch streamers trying to shit on new streamers coming up because they want to maintain their hegemony. That's it.
At this time, as you know, in 2017, it's a very different time. 2016, 17, any criticism or dissent on the subject was a death sentence. You became radioactive, unhireable, blacklisted, and that's exactly what happened. And basically from then on, it was just this escalating series of blacklisting, censorship, hit pieces, rumors to try to ostracize me from the movement. And
while you're a college student?
Yes. As a freshman,
So looking back with that 2020 hindsight, I mean, Ben Shapiro seems like a big part of your political evolution.
Yes.
You went from a fan/acolyte to an opponent and then just pivoted against everything that he believes.
Yeah, it was because it was this new dialectic that Trump forced.
Yeah.
Trump planted the seed.
And the seed was America first.
Yes.
So once you accept that, a lot of the way we're doing things becomes impossible to support or justify.
Well, it becomes very simple. It's like, is this in the best interest of America or not? And I think that a lot of times the answer to that is no. Like sending over a bunch of money overseas for some sort of humanitarian thing might make people feel good, but is it really the best thing for America to be doing? The answer to that is probably not really.
Right. The contradiction becomes apparent. It gets moved to the center, and it becomes unignorable if you're consistent.
Yep, America First, it was common sense. Yeah, of course it's common sense. Yeah, duh. And Nick Fuentes is an America First. He's a fucking bullshitter. Yeah, people are going to think... I mean, you think whatever you want. I mean, I'm not going to get into that. Yeah.
I said, I think you're one of the greatest living Americans. I said, I'm a young guy. I said, I really have nothing to say other than thank you. I have nothing but gratitude for what you've done for the country. I said, it's really not my place, to give you advice or correct you. And he said, no, don't be bashful. Tell me. And the story that I brought up was, this was really what sent me. In the first Fox News debate in 2015, in the Republican primary, Bret Baier, the first question said,
why are you calling him fat? Oh, no, this one.
Raise your hand if you will not pledge to support the eventual nominee.
Yes.
And Trump raised his hand.
Oh, so a little bit of context. People might not remember this. So they asked, they asked every single candidate to raise their hand if they would support the Republican nominee for the fucking 2016 election, regardless. Every single person raised their hand except for Trump. That was the actual question.
Because that's what he was saying. He said, if I don't win, I'll run independent and I'll make Republicans lose.
Yes. Fuck them.
And so I brought that up and I told that story and I said, I feel like what was inspiring in 16
Around, but yeah,
is
basically.
that you were willing to let the Republican establishment lose. Like you were serious about.
That's right. That's right. Because if you don't get what you want, you will burn the entire motherfucker down. And unless you do that, people will prey on your ability and your unwillingness to do that. That's it.
Blowing them up.
That's right.
Such that you are not
Absolutely.
going to say, like Pat Buchanan,
Yep.
who I respect, but Sam Francis acknowledged that was one of his great mistakes, was ultimately endorsing Bush. I said, it showed you were serious, you were playing to win.
Yeah.
Because you said, I will let this Republican Party crash and burn. I want to run as the Republican, but if I can't, I'll run independent. I said, and that's how I knew you were serious.
Yep.
And that's how I knew you were the guy. I said, and I feel like lately, this was right after Ronna McDaniel became the head of the RNC again. I was like, I feel like lately you're just behind all these people. I said, we're not here for Kevin McCarthy. We're not here for Ronna McDaniel or Mitch McConnell. I said, we are here for you. Like, we will die for you. We are loyal to you. I said, and when you did that, that showed you could win, and we rallied. I said, so I want to see more like that. I want to see you hit DeSantis, let's say, who is running against him. And he was like, oh, okay. He goes, oh, so you like that? It was right after he called them DeSanctimonious.
Yeah.
I said, that was awesome. You should have kept hitting him. He's like, oh, you like that? He goes, this guy's hardcore. I like this guy he was saying about me. And so I was trying to just get his mojo back, and, gas him up a little bit. And
Yeah, I think he's like that now again. I think for a while he was kind of a pussy in his first term, but now I think that he thinks that he has some mandate by God or something. He's like, I need to go to heaven, so I have to stop all of the wars and do all of this bullshit.
so that's how it went between me and him.
And
He almost died. Yeah, there's nothing to lose. Exactly. Mandate for Israel. Look, I'm not a fan of that either.
saying at this point?
Well, he was he was beaming with pride. Because Trump turns to him and says, who is this guy? This guy's great. And he was like, right? And I was like, this is amazing.
Did you call your parents from the parking lot?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Man.
You'll never believe. Yeah.
So he met Donald Trump with Kanye West.
If everything is inherited, then there's no hope for the continuation of America. Mm-hmm. Do you see that?
Yeah, I don't think it's genetically inherited. And what you're saying about putting aside the tribal interest for the corporate interest,
Yes.
that's absolutely the case. And that's the only way the country's going to stay together.
Exactly.
And
That's my concern.
And I absolutely agree with you. I would say, though, that the main challenge to that, a big challenge to that, is organized Jewry in America.
How many views does this have on YouTube? $2.3 million views, and on Twitter it has 10. This is something that's probably been seen 20 million times. It's a lot.
I think Bill Ackman is capable of that. I don't think Sheldon Adelson is capable of that. I don't think Yoram Hazony is capable of that, for that matter. And many other, on the right and the left. And I see Jewishness as the common denominator. And you're right. It's not all Jewish people feel the same way. No one would say that, but that does seem to be the common denominator. And I just feel like it needs to be called out explicitly. And I like what you said. If the other day, if you're serving in another country's military or have dual citizenship, you really can't be a part of this project.
Well, that's
obvious, right? Say it's obvious. Say it's obvious.
And that's an easy one.
Duh, of course. Yeah, you shouldn't have dual citizenship. Duh, of course.
But I am much more comfortable as a Christian and an American keeping it on that level because, it's easy to just set universal rules that apply to everyone, not just the Jews or the Christians or the anybody, just like Americans can only serve in the U.S. military or they lose their passport. I mean, I don't know. That's not hard.
I agree with that, by the way.
And I don't know. Why not just say that?
Say what?
That. Why not make every statement about how Americans ought to behave applicable to all Americans? Like it's the defense of universal values that will hold the country together and the emphasis on procure.
I agree with Tucker Carlson here. I think that the amount of people advocating for Somalia, for example, Like that's been like a minor thing that's been going on. I view that the same. I mean, Israel is much more powerful and influential, but on a fundamental level, I view it as the same thing.
Group values that will break it apart inevitably.
Still mad about that one?
Because this is a particular issue and it's acute. Like I said, I think
Yeah.
they're unique in that way. I think that's a unique issue, especially in the Republican Party, especially in the conservative scene. And, you know, this
So
is,
how would you like this all to be resolved?
what I would like is for
Oh,
the U.S. government to not be influenced by these kinds of foreign allegiances, not with money
true.
that comes from, you know, American citizens like Sheldon Adelson, not from foreign lobbyists. So, I mean, in terms of tangible things, I don't think we disagree on any of it. Like registering AIPAC and FARA, banning dual citizenship. Like I'm basically in
I think
agreement.
80% of the public agrees with those
Yeah.
things.
So,
So
I'm-
that's
I'd be surprised if it was that low.
kind of what gets me a little bit annoyed. It's like these are like America First, the concept. It's the most popular, self-evidently true idea you could
common
have.
sense.
Like, don't let foreign powers, especially tiny ones far away, control your country. Like, of course not.
No shit.
Everyone agrees with that on both sides.
yeah.
So the trick is not to let that idea get subverted. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think we agree on that.
But it's subverted when they're like, that's hate. No, that's hate.
I think that the overfixation around Jewish people explicitly, whenever this is a problem internationally with people that have allegiances to other countries, I think it is kind of a red herring that makes it harder to discuss the fundamental problem that everybody is pretty much on the same side of. So basically, like, if you think that like just Jews from Israel are the problem, well, I don't think that's really accurate, because I think it's basically anybody from another country that's coming into America to subvert America, to make America act in the best interests of another country. So like if it's 99% if it's 99% one country, then will it always be 99% that one country? Because I think probably over time this will change. I think the fundamental thing is you stop the action, not the group. Because if you stop the group is going to identify differently. They're going to do different things. But if you stop the action, you really stop it at its very core. Or Mexico for us? Yeah, exactly, right? And so that applies everywhere too. Yes, exactly. And easy pointer is APAC, because you just want to point out. You can take the rest out. Yeah, sure. And what about dual citizens from Canada? Well, I would view it the same way. Yeah, I would view it the exact same way. I mean, Canada is very close to the United States, but it's not the United States. And if you're working in the best interest of Canada and you're in the United States, you need to leave. It's that simple.
Am I being paranoid? I feel like going on about the Jews like helps the neocons. That's
Well,
what I'm
what about my views do you think are unreasonable, if yours are reasonable?
I think, again, I don't think it's cucky. I think it's reality to say that guilt is not inherited. Blood guilt is bad. One of the reasons that I'm mad about Gaza.
I think that any type of blood guilt that you put on people, like, oh, you're guilty for this because of like what your parents did or what your, like ancestors did. I think what's going to happen with that is that it will radicalize people in the next generation, and then it's going to create a lot of big problems. It doesn't create a problem immediately, but it will create problems over time. So according to you, you can't be American and a Jew? No, that's not what I said. Actually, I'm not even going to respond to your question, because you literally just you just took what I said and then turned it into something I didn't say. Just going to perm ban you? Yeah, I mean, I just didn't even say that.
Because the Israeli position is everyone who lives in Gaza is a terrorist because of how they were born, including the women and the children. That's not a Western view. That's an Eastern view. That's a non-Christian. That's totally incompatible with Christianity and Western civilization.
Yes.
They say, oh, we're the defenders of Western civilization. Not with that attitude. You're not. Collective punishment is the enemy of Western civilization.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It obviously is. It's very bad, and it's bad with anything, right? And so, yeah, it's exactly it. And what's the surprise again? You had right something that dumb. I know it's insane, right? I disagree. I have dual citizenship with Poland and the U.S. It's way more convenient for many reasons. That's fine, but you're not going to run for office. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't be allowed to have dual citizenship. I'm saying that if you run for public office or if you serve in a foreign military, you shouldn't have citizenship. Like, these are two very, very different things. Like, I'm not saying every single dual citizen has to get deported. That's retarded. No, I'm saying that if you are doing something that requires you to put the best interests of America first, then you need to renounce your citizenship with every other country. That, like, this is the most reasonable and common sense position that anybody could ever have.
And so I hate that attitude. It's genocidal. The current claims that I'm a cancer, from Ben Shapiro or whatever, we need to be excised from the body of conservatism, is a genocidal position that it basically encourages violence, as they well know. The whole thing I hate. So like anytime you say
selective hearing, it's people are bots, just bots.
Group of people is responsible for the sins of some of its members, like, I'm out.
Yeah, but that's not my view.
It's not. Okay. So tell me your views. Like, rather than, you're one of those people, one of the reasons I wanted to meet you is you're one of those people who is defined by clips.
Yes.
And I'm one of those people also.
Yes.
Right? So I get it. So I'm going to just shut up and you tell me what you actually believe.
Yeah. Well, and listen, I mean, and I appreciate you saying that, because that's just a reality of the media environment we're in. So I don't expect you to know all my views, but I mean, as far as the Jews are concerned, I think that, like I said, you cannot actually divorce Israel and the neocons and all of those things that you talk about from Jewishness, ethnicity, religion, identity. And let me give you like a perfect example. So you say on your show that we need to treat Israel like any other country. And I sort of understand that in principle.
Yeah.
Because Israel is another foreign country.
Yeah.
But Israel is unlike every other country in the sense that because the Jewish people are in a diaspora all over the world, there are significant numbers of Jews in Europe, but also in the United States. And because of their unique heritage and story, which is that they're a stateless people, they're unassimilable, they resist assimilation for thousands of years. And I think that's a good thing. And now they have this territory in Israel. There's a deep religious affection for the state. It's bound up in their identity, the story of the Exodus from Egypt, the promise of the land, all these things. So let's say in the United States, for example, somebody like a Sheldon Adelson, he's not Israeli. Is he an ideological neocon? Does he believe in the promise of democratic globalism? I don't think necessarily. His heart is in Israel. And it's because he is a proud Jewish person. And I guess what I'm saying is that if you are a Jewish person in America, you're sort of, and again, it's not because they're born, but it's sort of a rational self-interest politically to say, I'm a minority. I'm a religious ethnic minority. This is not really my home.
See, this is what I was always worried about with identity politics, is that when the identity politics started, that eventually everybody would start playing the game. And I think that what you're seeing now is you're seeing a lot of people that are white that are also playing the identity politics game. And I think that that's really kind of what Nick Fuentes represents in a pretty big way. What's his point? That basically identity politics is a game, and by not playing it, you're losing. And because of that, he's advocating for white people and for Christians or to also play into identity politics. That's basically what he's saying. Just like I can see where he's saying I fucking hate identity politics, but he is right that I don't think that there's any way that people are going to get away from it.
My ancestral home is in Israel. Mm-hmm. There's like a natural affinity that Jews have for Israel. And I would say on top of that, the international Jewish community. They're extremely organized. And many of them are critical of Israel or Israel's current government or the project of Israel. But I guess what they have in common, unlike, let's say, like Singapore, for example, is that they have this international community across borders, extremely organized. that is putting the interests of themselves before the interests of their home country. And there's no other country that has a similar arrangement like that. No other country has a strong identity like that, this religious blood and soil conviction, this history of being in the diaspora, stateless, wandering, persecuted, and in particular, the historic animosity between the Jewish people and the Europeans. They hate the Romans because the Romans destroyed the temple. That's why Eric Weinstein goes to the Arch of Titus and gives it the finger and takes a picture. We don't think like that as Americans and white people. We don't think about the Roman Empire in 2,000 years ago. They do. And so...
See, this is, bro, like, see, now we're going to have identity politics with everything. Like, I'm telling you, like, this is exactly where things are going. Is that you are going to have... I do think that you're going to have white people identity politics in less than 5 years. It's got worse? Yeah, I absolutely think so.
I guess that's really...
And you've already had it, bro? No, I'm talking about it being out, like... It's been implied. There's been a long time that it's been kind of just like, yeah, I would say it's been implied, or it's been kind of begging the question of it, but never stated. I think that we already do. No. No, not compared to what I think is going to happen. The whole thing sounds icky. I'm not a big fan of identity politics, but I can see why people feel like if they don't play the identity politics game, the people that do will win. It's a very bad situation, to be honest. What do you mean by white people identity politics? Well, so what I mean by that is that white people expressing own group preference for people inside of, like, let's say their ethnic group at a extremely high ratio, similar to what minorities experience as own group preference as well. And so, for example, white people choosing to pick white people being more willing to say that a white person isn't guilty of a crime, things like that. That's what I think. That's where I think things are going. White guy DEI, yeah.
I don't think that's me saying the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's me being hateful. I don't think that's me being collectivist. I think that's understanding that identity politics, whether you love it or hate it, whatever you feel about it, it's a reality that we live in a world of Jews and Christians, of whites and blacks. These identities mean something to us, and they mean things to each other, and we can't sort of wish them away. And it feels like white people and Christians are the only ones that do that.
And I think that's the reason why so much of this identity politics stuff has grown bigger. And I think it will continue getting even bigger too. Just a second. There it is. Okay. Yeah, I think it's going to keep growing, and it's going to keep getting more and more and more popular. And I'm trying to see if there's any more of these here that I've missed out on, etc. And okay, here we go. We got one more. And let's see here. Not only bigger, but worse. Well, I don't know. I should Twitter under review. I changed my profile picture. That's why. So, yeah. And the enemy of the Christians is radical Islam, not Judaism. I'm not gonna. I don't want to argue about that. Like, this is some religious conflict. I'm not going to be involved. I'm not a particularly religious guy. Okay, so you're coming at me with the wrong thing. But my point is that white identity politics. How would you fix identity politics? I don't think that you really ever can. But I think that the best way to do it is to provide an abundance of resources for people to the best degree possible. And the more that people are able to just think about their own shit, they're not going to be thinking about other people's shit. So that's my general outlook on it, is that keep people distracted by keeping their lives relatively pleasant, enjoyable, without necessarily condemning them or making them live in like shitty houses. So that's a slop answer. Well, it's not though, right? Because if somebody is occupied with their own life, they're not going to be thinking about and angry about a bunch of other fucking people. Most people that have had some like bad experience or something like that, or that are very into this, many of them don't have a lot of resources. I think that resources are a huge component to this. And I think also elevating different groups, like through different types of representation, works against that. So, like, for example, like, in my opinion, I think we had less racism in like 2004, minus like maybe, I guess, probably Arabs because of 9/11. But minus that, we had less racism, less genuine racism than we do now. I think now we have way more racism. And the reason why is because people were treated generally the same. You could make jokes about different stuff and people knew that it was being done in good faith. But whenever you had the inmates take over the asylum, that's really what it is. So, yeah. Tropic Thunder was peak society? Yes, Tropic Thunder was the pinnacle. Everything before that was leading up to it. Everything after that was falling off of it. That was it. Hasn't identity politics more or less just been part of history? It has. It always will be part of it. But I think that like you can solve a lot of identity problems through class-based solutions. Does that make sense? So like, for example, like I don't agree with affirmative action based off of race. Like, so for example, like just because you're black, I don't think that you should get any advantage in a hiring process or in a scholarship process or in a college application process. Now, I view that with women, Asian, Indian, anything like that, right? Everybody should be treated the exact same. However, I do think that if you're from an underprivileged family, for example, like you have less money, I think that is a tangible thing that can be quantified and you can say this is a genuine disadvantage and we need to give these people a little bit extra help. And I think that those tangible advantages will disproportionately help minorities like black people. Like they would disproportionately help black people way more than they would help white people, at least per capita. But does that make it a bad system? No, it doesn't. It's the same as having a law. If a law arrests a lot of people of a certain demographic, that doesn't make the law bad or racist. No, it doesn't. It's the same as this. Just because you have a system that benefits one group of people, you should look at what the intent of the system is and is the idea good rather than is the group of people that it affects good. That's the big problem. So that's the way that I look at it. So I agree with that kind of identity politics in a way, but I think that, again, if you approach it from a class-based perspective, you can nerf identity politics in a big way. I think that you will never get rid of it, but you can make it less consequential. Do you see kind of what I'm saying? It means they should stop being criminals? Well, yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, if you do a bunch of arrests and you're arresting everybody for shoplifting, I don't care if every person you arrest is Mexican, white, black, or Indian, or Asian. If every single one of them is one of these races, then they all still stole shit and they should go to jail. It's that simple. So it doesn't matter really kind of what the results are demographically for a change. You should look at what the change is and does the change lead to a more harmonious and a better society? And if the answer to that is yes, then you should apply the change regardless of who it affects. We kind of went full retard. Yeah, it's basically like people are using inverse logic to determine whether ideas are good or not. As a naturalized citizen, totally agree. Yeah, of course. If you do it by money only, it catches people that have fallen on hard times, not leaving some behind because of their color. Well, it depends, right? I mean, I think that falling on hard times is very quantifiably bad. Color is less quantifiably bad. I do think that, like, for example, like minorities, especially blacks, have had systematic, like there are ripple effects of systematic racism that the black community experiences even today. I think this is true. I know this is going to be an argument. A lot of people are going to disagree with this, but I do think that it's legitimately true. But I think that the way that you solve those problems, the way that you deal with that, is that you approach them from a class-based perspective. Because some families are more affected by it than others, and there are other white families that have the basically same problem, but it's just in reverse. Do you see kind of what I'm saying? So, like, Asians get a lot worse overcoded? Yeah. Having tooth problems in the chat ain't ready for? Yeah, exactly. Are Indians Asians? It depends, right? And so that's really the way that I would look at everything. It was almost an overcorrection. Yeah, I think it was an overcorrection in a lot of ways. Absolutely. Race is a correlated statistic for class. Yeah, well, I mean, and I think that really things like that should be class-based. So I'm not against the idea of affirmative action. I'm just against the idea of it being race-based. That's all. Or gender-based or sex-based, right? Or sexuality-based, excuse me. Marxism is showing. It's not Marxism to think that people that are poor should have a little bit of a help. I think the fact is that that is the American dream. That is fun. And if you don't let people be able to pursue that, I think that you have a sick society. You have a society that are, there are a lot of societies in other countries that are like this, and I don't want to live there. Is that socialism? Social security, you could say, is socialism. The idea that something is bad categorically because you could describe it as socialism is lazy, brain-dead thinking. You should look at what a system is this system beneficial or not, rather than tying your beliefs to a preconceived notion of a blanket term. That's what I think. Let's keep going.
How do you explain Mike Huckabee, Ted Cruz, and there are a lot like that, John Bolton. I mean, I've known them all. George W. Bush, like Karl Rove. I mean, all people I know personally who I've seen like be seized by this brain virus, and they're not Jewish. Most of them are self-described Christians, and then the Christian Zionists who are, well, Christian Zionists. Like, what is that?
Right.
And I can just say for myself,
it's a perversion of their religion, I think. It's people that think that, Jews are God's chosen people or something like that, and that's the reason why. I think that even the concept that God has a chosen people, no, he does not. This is sick. It is a sick mentality. It is a sick mentality that can be used to justify infinitely many horrible things. And if you just look at history, you'll see that I've been right about that every single time.
I dislike them more than anybody. Because like,
they're imposters.
What? Because it's Christian heresy, and I'm offended by that as a Christian.
It is.
That's why. So I don't like. Why not? Like, I'm pissed at
heresy,
the neocons,
brother.
Very pissed. I've said that a million times. I've been mad since December of 2003 when I went to Iraq, and so like I went and asked straightforward questions to Ted Cruz because that seemed like there's a sitting
Ted
senator.
Cruz is totally captured by this. It's very disappointing.
Who's like serving for Israel by his own description. He seemed like a worthy target. I'm not going after MTG, who's like the most sincere. Like, why not go after Ted Cruz? I don't understand.
Yeah, I think he's right about that. Yeah, Ted Cruz definitely cucks too much for Israel. It's pretty fucking obvious. I can't see how anybody would see otherwise, if you want me to be totally real, right? They have evidence against them? Maybe, I don't know, right? I have no idea. And let me see if I can find a few more of these here. And all right, we'll do... we'll do two more. How about that? Two more.
Not expressing, and I just view that as
That's the beauty
like,
of it.
I see the way I look at it is like when you look at your favorite TV shows,
Right?
The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, it's like the wife is the villain because it's like the main character, if the wife could just get out of the way, would be running the show. And that's kind of how I feel like Ayn Rand, I agree with her about this. She said that the wife's role is like hero worship. The guy is the hero. The guy is supposed to be the entrepreneur, the conqueror, whatever. And the woman is really supposed to support the man's goals and be in his world. And
that's the
felt
last thing successful men need is more power worship, more hero worship, more, you're so great. When you get that at work, you don't want that at home. You become an unbearable asshole. And then you fall prey to what destroys every successful man, which is hubris. Like, you mistake yourself for God. You need someone who's not interested in what you do at all, only interested in you. And that's how you become balanced and wise. That's how you know your own limits. Because the ass kissing is what kills.
I think this is something where both people are right. Where, like, I think what Tucker Carlson is saying is true. Where, like, you get delusional if you just have people only gassing you up. But I think it's also good to have your wife, or just, I mean, this is not even just about a wife. I mean, I think a husband should be supportive to his wife too, right? It's just a different dynamic. I think it's both of these things are true.
It's not, I mean, you had someone come to murder you at home. It doesn't seem to have affected you that much.
And if I were married, dude, she would never let me hear the end of it.
Well, that's probably true, but that's not what destroys men. It's not adversity that destroys men. It's comfort and flattery that destroys men.
Man. I was just thinking of something that happened recently.
Right? That's what happened to King David. It's what happens to them all.
Yeah.
You're so great. You can never go wrong.
I just feel like we have I don't feel like we have an abundance of affection from women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, in terms of where the pendulum is at, I feel like the women are very unloving to the men.
Damn.
That's why, like, they don't cook. Because that's like the best way to express a love for a man. I said this on my show the other night. I'm like, the most beautiful words a woman could say is like, I made you dinner. I made you cookies.
Yeah.
Because that is like an act of love.
Oh,
and
man.
I think that, speaking as maybe from a different generation, the way that men feel now is...
No, I will tell you this, right, is that I don't know if I should share this story. I'm going to just share this story. So anyway, there was this one girl that I was talking to, and she was from another country. It was an Asian country. And she said that if she came to America, that she'd cook me steaks every day. And I thought she was lying. And then she actually, she would show me, that she'd cook stuff every single day. Now, obviously, this never worked out. Nothing happened. But, of course. Can you believe that? But I was just like, wait, what the fuck? Is this real? No, this was another one. And you guys don't know about this one. And so this is, a normal person, right? And I was like, wait, is this, there's no way this is like a legit thing, right? Because I didn't believe that. The quickest man to man's heart is through his stomach. I mean, I don't know, whenever, I just like eating out, so I usually just take them out to eat. I'm like, where do you want to go? The only problem is if they want to go to some nasty ass fucking shithole that sells sushi or something stupid like that. That's the only thing that sucks. Yeah, like eating out. Yeah, exactly. I like going to restaurants. Fucking go I don't know, Golden Corral, right? I don't know, a KFC. Texas Roadhouse.
Women are not really providing too
What's wrong
much.
with sushi? It's fucking disgusting. It's fucking no.
They expect so much from the men. They want the man to be rich and provide.
Yeah.
Yep.
They want the man to be fit and a real leader and a real man. They also want to split the chores with the man. They want the man to do half the laundry and half the dishes and things like that. And it's like, so what do you do all day? You're on TikTok? You're doom scrolling and eating Cheetos? What actually are you providing in in So
Oh, man.
I just feel like in terms of the deficit, it's like women
See, we gotta get those robot waifus real quick.
are very
We gotta get this locked in.
emboldened. They're too, I think, assertive, always giving their opinions, always critiquing, always I think that they're very bold right now, and I think and sarcastic.
Yeah, there was one that she told me that she says, I'm like, whenever we go out, you don't really talk at all. And she's like, well, whenever I'm out on a date with a man, I just, I figure he doesn't really want to talk to me, and I'll just wait until I'm spoken to talk. And I'm like, wow. Like what? Wait, what? I didn't even know that was a thing.
I think that's a big reason why they're not very
That's
attractive.
a slave?
I get it. All I would say is that in
Is
a happy
that easy?
marriage, all of that goes away. There's no arguing about who does what. People fall seamlessly into the roles they were born into. They acknowledge those. They're not insecure about it at all. They express love in a whole bunch of different ways by serving each other. It's super easy. And all of that, obnoxious, entitled, you don't make enough money, all that crap just disappears.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I think he's probably right about that. I mean, you've got to have somebody that's a teammate, not a fangirl, right? I think that's definitely it. Absolutely, for sure. And this is the old one. Tucker Carlson says pornography is not just sabotaging homosexual relations, it's making people gay and trans. I want to keep this in mind. We still have 3 more years of this shit until the next election. And then after that election, 4 more years of that shit. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a whole lot. We already have a king? Yeah, but maybe there might be an uprising against the king in 2028, right? And so we might have to defend the king, obviously, right? Right, guys?
And so something that is almost never talked about is that this is a generation that's totally sexually dysfunctional, I think, because of pornography. And some people are able to cope with it. Some people don't have a problem. But I think a lot of people, and maybe even a small minority, have a serious problem with it. And the
How does
problem,
it make people sexually dysfunctional?
I think that it's impossible for a real woman to compete with the availability and the novelty of pornography. A real woman,
2D is greater than 3D. I've heard this before.
like without getting graphic, she's only one person, and maybe she wants to do something sexual, maybe she doesn't. Porn is, you could have 100 different women in one sitting doing anything that whatever niche or idiosyncratic thing a person might be into, it's there.
Yeah.
And so I think that
they can have cat ears. True.
Novelty combined with that availability, it makes it so that,
man,
when you think about courting a woman, juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Jesus.
And so there's like also a problem of like erectile dysfunction. People that can't enjoy regular sex because it does not compare to the intensity, the novelty, and the availability of porn.
Man, that is crazy. Remember what I was telling you guys? I wasn't joking, but y'all thought I was joking about people that could only be attracted to animals that don't exist. Remember whenever I would say that all the time and everybody would be laughing? There's not as many people laughing anymore, are they? There's more people agreeing.
Hyper stimulation. And so I think that's sabotaging a lot of normal sexual relationships.
It seems like it's making a lot of people gay, too.
Yeah, and trans.
You think that's true?
100%.
What is that?
I think that the novelty is a huge part of that. I think that if you are somebody that uses pornography multiple times per day, which many people do.
Actually?
Yeah, so you get bored of like one thing and then you want to do something else. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a lot of jerking off.
It's a huge problem.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Too.
Actually?
Oh, absolutely.
That's a lot of jerking off.
It's a huge problem.
This might be one of the best interviews. I got to tell you guys. This might be one of those top 10s. Whoa!
Yeah.
And, if you're doing that multiple times a day, every day, for years, since you're a kid,
Yeah.
well, eventually you
quote that
get
mattered.
bored.
Yeah.
And you want to move on to something more extreme.
Yeah.
And you're kind of, it operates, I think, similar
I guess let me guess, psychopaths killing animals than killing people?
to like a drug. You kind of have the same kind of resistance to it that you would to a drug, or tolerance for it. And you're always chasing that initial feeling the first time you used it or the first time you saw a certain thing.
Yep.
And I think eventually you just chase more taboo, more transgressive.
Yep.
And I think maybe some people are more prone to that than other people, going in a really extreme
this
direction.
Is how Charlie Sheen got AIDS, actually.
Yeah.
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 Through just being jaded and looking for something more transgressive. That's just a fact.
And there's something too about what it does when you look at it. Because people don't realize that it is a fundamentally different experience being involved in intercourse versus watching other people have intercourse.
I hear
and I
that.
think that actually does something to you.
I'm not sure, but
Tell me, what do you mean?
I think that, for example, I think Steve Saylor has written about this, that there's multiple kinds of transsexuals. And he says that one kind of transsexual is somebody that likes the idea of seeing themselves as a woman. It's autogynephilia.
Yes.
And I think that, one of the theories for that is you watch a man having sex with a woman that isn't you so much, you kind of achieve an identity with the woman in like a weird, sick way. You almost identify with the woman.
Oh, shit.
And so there's weird things that happen when you're watching that and having such strong emotional and
I haven't had that happen yet.
sexual experiences with it.
Yeah, not yet. Not yet, bro. Like, yeah, that's. I mean, maybe, right? I mean, I don't know. That's some Freudian logic. I mean, there's, I'm sure there's logic attached to it for sure. But man, that is just already has 8.8 million views with 69K likes. Oh my god, man, wow, that is insane.